There we go. Modular synths is what we were looking at yesterday with our kind of basic overview of stuff. I was kind of putting one together yesterday in Reactor, using the Reactor blocks, which we'll be talking about tomorrow. And so today, what we're going to look at here is, actually I do need to open this up so I can see what people are saying to me. There we go. Yeah, well, here, we'll do this. Just move that over. If I can just see what people are saying. There we go. I'm going to close that down. All right. So a modular synth that people like, that I like anyway, is this Moog. It's one of the earlier ones. It's from Arturia. Right over here, what is it? Modular V3. And we're going to kind of go through this and look at this and have a look at this. And I want to use this one just because it is looks like, acts like a real kind of modular synth and all that, and all its craziness. Yeah, thanks. All right, so there we go. Halo mouse. Yeah, we definitely need the Halo mouse with this kind of a crazy background going on, right? So I just want to show you a couple things real quick that's in the canvas here to help you out. Over here in my modules, we go down here, excuse me, and we look at $7. Yeah. I definitely got to use it. Thanks for reminding me. So over here, we have the super basic synth explanation, which is this YouTube video here. So I definitely recommend you check out this one here. It's pretty cool. It's very basic. And then we have this one here, which is actually really cool, which is Junkie XL, who, if you don't know who that is, he made a lot of really cool electronic music in the 90s, and now he makes film soundtracks. A lot of really cool stuff. I think the one I remember the most is he did the soundtrack for that movie Hannah, like the TV show maybe, or something. I don't remember exactly which ones he's done, but it's all good sounding stuff. But he has this really long, like 43-minute video about how to patch and how to use a modular synth, and it's pretty cool. Another person that you may want to check out is this guy Andrew Hong. He's a little bit over the top in my opinion, for me, but I think everything he says is spot on. It's really good. It's really well edited. He's got a lot of knowledge about it. It's just, for me, it's a little bit too excited, so it's hard for me to watch, but I love what he says. I think it's great, and I think it would be great for people who are not me. And then also there's this, oh, he did Deadpool? Okay, cool, yeah. Awesome, thanks for looking that up. And then there's this website here, which is where you're going to do your homework for tonight. This is called Basic Modular Synth, and what it is just a basic modular synth that somebody has programmed into the interweb. And here it is. It's just basically what I want you to do is just use the kind of most basic setup of it and patch this one here. And that will kind of help out with stuff, because I don't know that you have actual access to a modular synth on your computer except for Reactor blocks. And the Reactor blocks, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. So for today, if you just kind of want to mess around with some stuff and just kind of get a little bit of a vibe going on, then this one definitely is there for you, and it kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of how this stuff works. Another place where you can get some cool modular synths and some things going on is on your iPad. Now, obviously, I can't force you to buy anything for your iPad, But there's some really cool stuff on the iPad that you can download and use. And it used to be, let's just see if it's still a thing, actually. Let's see, Moog Mini iPad. Model 15, not the Model 15, Model D. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. It used to be okay. No, in the beginning of the pandemic, they had this for free, which is pretty cool. It's $8 now. Is it worth $8? Yes, if you're going to use it. If you're not going to use it, then probably not. If you wanted to buy a cool synth, more by this developer. Okay, nothing there. If you wanted to buy a cool synth for your iPad that was kind of fun to mess around with, I would. Oh, this is $30. I don't know if it's really worth $30. That's quite steep if you're not really going to use it very much. But it's really cool. I like it. I've used it a bunch. And you can actually, if you have the right kind of connectors, you can actually plug in MIDI devices to your iPad or your iPhone and play the stuff like for real. The problem is really just is how to record it into your computer, which I can show you how to do that. I guess I haven't shown y'all how to do that yet. And definitely at some point I can show y'all how to do it. Have I shown you? I feel like in the beginning I maybe kind of went through it a little bit, but maybe not. Felix has it. What do you think, Felix? Do you like it? Let me know. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go into let's go into all types, and let's just get a template here. And we're just gonna go ahead and do the one oscillator, one VCA. And just show what's actually happening here. So just make sure, I just want to make sure that everything is you can hear everything. Cool. All right, so we should be able to hear this. If you can't, let me know. And I'm going to grab so you can see what I'm doing here. Also, let me just straighten that up so it's straight in the camera. There we are. Cool. So you should be able to see everything that's going on over there. All right. Looks pretty good. So we've got this synth here. Now let's just go ahead and kind of unpack what's going on with this synthesizer, so we can see what's happening, and we can also see how to change things up, how to do some more stuff. So one thing we've got here is we have an oscillator. We've got a row of oscillators right here across the bottom here, and these oscillators are just kind of here. Each one of these, let's zoom in on this. Each one of these has a knob here for our frequency and our range. And the range is for your octaves, the frequency is for semitones. So if I hit this, right, there we go. So you can see it's kind of bending around. If I want to put it back to 0, I just double click on it. And you can see over here on my push controller, I can actually turn the knob. After I click on it, I can turn the knob. And it just lets me control it right there immediately. Then I have this range button here. The range is for our octave, and you'll notice that it says 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and then low. What that means is those are lengths in feet, which is a bit weird and confusing. Basically, what that lengths in feet is coming from pipe organs. Pipe organs, if you've ever looked at a pipe organ or ever been to a church and kind of looked at one, you might have seen that they have range in these numbers as well, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, like that. Well, what this has to do with how long the pipes are that represent the different octaves of notes. So if it says 2, it's a high pipe, 4 is an octave below that, 8 is an octave below that, 16 is an octave below that, and 32 is an octave below that. And the reason why it's like that is because that's how you get octaves, is by doubling the length of the waveforms. So if you remember back in Module 1 where you talked about acoustics and the physics of sound and stuff like that, the basics of it, this is what we're seeing here. So for whatever reason, I'm not exactly sure why they did it like this, but for whatever reason, they decided this was the easiest way to show your octaves: 32, 16, 8, 4, and 2, like that. So that's what that means. So if I go ahead and zoom in here and I hit this, right? So I've got that octave switch there. Now what I have down here is these are my waveforms that I'm sending out from stuff. So I've got my sine wave right here, I've got a triangle wave, I've got a sawtooth wave, and I have a square wave right here. So with these older synthesizers, it wasn't like a knob that you could turn to kind of morph between the waveforms. It was actually you had to plug a cable into whichever waveform you wanted to come out of. All right, so we have that, and now what we have to do is we have to follow this cable around and just see where we're going to. So where we're going to here is from here, we're going to follow this blue cable here over here to boom, our VCA in, and that goes into our envelope there. So if we want to make adjustments to the sound, let's say I want to take this and adjust my release time. So when I let go of the note, it doesn't like just stop playing. I can do this. Whoops, that's probably too much. Hear that there? If I adjust it with the knob, if I let go, it takes a while to shut off there, right? And down here, I've got my sustain level. Which isn't actually doing anything in this one here. And then I would have my attack. Right, you can see how that kind of grows up and does different stuff there. Now, if we go over here and look at this one oscillator, one filter, we can see how things are changed up here. And this is like just kind of doing this is just a good way of kind of seeing how this stuff works together. Just kind of going through these various templates that are in here, it kind of shows you how this stuff works here. So for example, with this one here, let's go back to the other one real quick. One oscillator, one VCA, which is voltage controlled amplifier. What I've got here is it goes straight from my oscillator over here to my VCA right here. And I have an LFO here. The LFO right now isn't really set to be doing anything. I could probably make it do something by using my let's see. Yeah, the mod wheel here, you can hear it. It's adjusting my pitch a little bit. And that's how a lot of these old synths were set up. Right, like that. And that's set up with this VC, the voltage controlled LFO, low frequency oscillator here. The output, we can see here is coming from the sine wave all the way over here to this input here. And we can see here the amplitude modulation, mod amount here. The mod is coming from the mod wheel. So that's what this is down here. I can have it set to my velocity, my attack, I guess that's what AT stands for, and then mod here. I could also have it set to my key follow. Key follow, what that means is basically if you play a high key or a low key, it's gonna adjust what it's, how much it's affecting it. And then over here you have sequence columns. If we look down here, sequence columns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like this, how much these things are affecting everything in there as well. You have the sequencer, which we can show a little bit later. Oops. So let's go ahead and look at the filter one. Now the filter is slightly different, but not much. Basically, it's the same stuff as going on. It's just that instead of going directly into our envelope over here, our oscillator, what it does is it goes, here's our oscillator, same sound, but now we've got this filter up here that's going into first. And it's exactly what I showed you yesterday. And here, I've got it drawn out on a piece of, well, not paper, I've got it drawn out here in my notepad here. Modular synths, every part of a modular synth must be connected. And look, we've got the oscillator going into the filter, going into the amplifier. And you also must connect some kind of controller like a keyboard, pitch, and the gate. Pitch is which note is played, and the gate is the note on-off messages. This is all the stuff we talked about yesterday. and we kind of went over it pretty quickly. Today we're doing a little bit more of a deep dive. Now, with this synth here, the keyboard is already just kind of part of it. It's not something that you need to connect up. It's just kind of already kind of connected into it. So there's not like any cable that you have to connect for the keyboard on this one. When we are talking about the with our reactor blocks tomorrow, then we will be talking about having a keyboard in there and connecting that up, making that keyboard kind of do its thing. All right, so let's go over to here. Let's follow this around. So here we got our sawtooth wave, goes down here to our soft clip, and this, it goes into this knob here. So we could actually, we could control our volume level here with this one here. This is like a mixer here. So if I want to bring some more oscillators in, we can do that. All right, and that's what we'll be able to show you that here in a little bit. And then the sound goes up here to our output, goes up right up here to our low pass filter. Put this back up to 1. I'll just keep it right there, I guess. And then we'll go over here and click on this frequency, and you can hear right. So that's how that works there. And then the output of this is going down over here to this input here, the VCA input here, the voltage controlled amplifier input. So if you want to mess with that, that's where that happens. And then you've got, you basically with all these things, if you just follow, it's like you're just connecting the dots really, the patch points being the dots, and you connect them up and hopefully you get a sound. Now, I know it probably looks like a lot, but again, just keep in mind what we talked about yesterday we just got an oscillator, a filter, and an amplifier. Right now, we don't have anything else happening. We do have an envelope over here, but the envelope, we're just kind of going into the envelope. The envelope, it's not exactly how I showed you yesterday. It's not like outside of the chain. It's actually happening within the chain because this envelope is our amplifier. It's got our amplifier right here going on, so it's not something that's happening outside of the chain. If we wanted to, we have these envelopes up here which are outside of the chain, and so we can use that to kind of control our filter or other things. And we also have this LFO right here that's outside of the chain. So for example, if I wanted to have my LFO affect my filter right here, what I can do is I can just take a cable from here. To do that, I just click it and drag it across over here, and you see how these became red. That's so I can actually input it there. So I have that there, and let's see. Probably, we're getting into, wait. We're getting into, I don't ever program this thing, so I forget how to do that. Because there's, oh yeah, right there. There it is. So you click on this, there we go. See this little yellow orange dot there above it? This line right here, see how there's a little line right there and there? What you do is you take that and you adjust how much you want it to affect it. If I click on my LFO here, frequency, I can adjust that and make it go faster or slower by adjusting my frequency there. And how much it's affecting it, it's going to happen right down here. I can click and turn it all the way up. And just keep in mind that this frequency part right here, this frequency knob, is our starting point of the cutoff like frequency where it's happening in the harmonic range. And this frequency knob over here is the speed of the LFO. Now, that can get confusing for people. You've got two knobs called frequency. Wait, hold on a second. Why do I have two knobs called frequency? Well, they both have to do with how fast the wave is traveling. But in this case, sorry, this one has to do with the frequency, like waveforms traveling. What I mean by that is that the higher waves are a faster frequency. Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm mirrored or not. The higher waves are a faster frequency, the lower waves are a slower frequency, and that's what that's talking about right there. So 725 hertz, it's doing 725 cycles per second. Whereas this one here, it's, let's go over here to click that, there we go. Over here, see how this is going, it still says it in hertz. Well, this hertz, what it's talking about is, again, how many cycles per second it's happening, but it has to do with how quick we're going to hear that sound. So if I, and I'm in low mode right now. See how I'm in low mode? So my hertz is less than 1 hertz, less than 1 cycle per second. And we can just get up to 1 cycle per second there. If I click this and put it into mid, oops. If I put this into mid and I click it, right, so you can hear how that works there. I'm going to go ahead and turn this down so it's not quite doing quite as much. There we go, turn this up. Go over here and click on this, and now we can get up to 20 hertz. Now 20 hertz is technically, that's the low end of human hearing range, but realistically not so much. Here, let me just get this. Let me get Jean in here. Boom, there we go. Cool. All right. So that's how we've modulated this. Now let me go ahead and disconnect this. And the way we disconnect cables in this program is you just click and drag it away from it. Or, oh, there we, is that not how we disconnect cables? Remove connections, I guess. There we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and double click on this little line over here so that we can set that back to 0. Now, keep in mind that different programs do things a little bit differently. So what works in this program is generally what works in most programs, but not all programs, not all the time. All right, let's go ahead and show an envelope here. One of these envelopes connected to the low-pass filter. So here's what my sound sounds like. I'm going to go ahead and adjust that there. And we're going to grab one of these envelopes here and have this envelope to connect over here to this filter here. So I'm just going to grab the output of this envelope and drag it over here to this input here and adjust this up a bit. And what I'm going to do is the sustain is all the way down at 0, so it's no sustain. And what we want to do is go ahead and turn up the attack here. Maybe adjust this a little bit higher. Cool, and you can hear how that envelope affects the filter. Right, you can hear how that kind of adjusts it. And I'm hoping that you're, after me just kind of doing this a few times, that you're being able to follow along what's actually happening here. All right, so what is actually happening here is I got my filter here. Let me just double click this. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. I've got my filter here, and that's what it sounds like with just the filter. And if I click on the filter amount here, I can adjust this. Here, I'm adjusting it with my hand down here in the corner, the push. But what if I wanted to go ahead and go? Basically, I wanted to do that automatically. Right? That's what I wanted to do. That's what I want it to sound like. So what I do is I set it to here, which is going to be my destination frequency. And I go over here to my envelope, I get my output, go over to here to the input of my modulation in. I adjust the amount of the modulation right here. And now I would adjust my decay time, because I want my sustain to go, let's have the sustain go all the way down to 0 here. Because if I put it up here, it's gonna actually, the sustain's gonna be higher up than what I want. So we're going to have the sustain comes down to my frequency level. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my decay time. And I don't want it to be quite as fast. There we go, that sounds pretty good. Let's adjust this level here. And that sounds about like what I was just doing by hand a second ago. So now what's going to happen is every single time that I hit a note, it's going to go through that kind of frequency shift there in the filter. I can make that happen faster by adjusting my decay time here. And there you have it. Now I can actually connect these. I can like adjust these together. So I can go ahead and put my LFO in here as well. You notice how we have several modulation inputs here. So I can go ahead and grab this cable here from my sine wave, bring it over to here. So now I've got my LFO here, and I'll take this, adjust this. And you can hear how that's making that adjustment there. It's kind of, it's still kind of wobbling it based on where the frequency is here. So they're both adjusting it. Cool. All right. So we have that there. Use LFO. Okay, yeah, it's like a wubby. Yeah, it's like a wubby sound. Yep. And that's exactly how like all the dubstep stuff is made. That kind of wub wub bass is all just using LFOs or some kind of LFO type of thing to kind of create that sound. It's like it just makes it rhythmic. All right, so let's go down here and let's just see something here. Let's say we wanted to here. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect these two here because I don't want to get y'all confused about this stuff. I'm just going to disconnect it by dragging this over here like that. Let's just consult the notes real quick to make sure we're on course here. Yeah, okay, so this is talking about this. Let's just go through all this with this kind of website. I hope y'all can hear this website. Let's just see if y'all will be able to hear this website here, True Grid. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go out from the sawtooth wave. I'm gonna zoom in on this using my plus and minus keys on my website. Oh, there we go. So if I go out from my square wave into my filter and out from the filter into my input. No? Oh, into my input, that's my input there. And then if I go out from my input into my amplifier, there we go. So now we hear some sound. Let's see, can y'all hear that sound? Yeah, y'all can hear that sound, right? Okay, so there's that sound there, and if we want to, we can adjust our filters. So what we did here, let me go ahead and stop that audio from playing. Stop. How do I stop it? Stop. Automatic stop. I'll just disconnect that. There we go. Okay. So what we've noticed here is that the oscillator is just constantly playing a tone, goes through our filter, and goes into our amplifier right here. How do I know it's an amplifier? I know it's an amplifier because it has inputs, and it also has like your CV amount here and an index here. It just kind of looks like an amplifier to me. And you've got the input here and then the output here. The output is our mix output. So if we've got like this one here and this one here, we can kind of mix between them if we want to. But we also have a mixer here as well. So you'll notice that it's just playing. It's not starting and stopping or anything like that. And the reason why it's not starting and stopping or anything is because we don't have any kind of envelope affecting our level here. And so if we wanted to have it start and stop with our keyboard, we'd have to do that right over here. Now, let me just see if, I don't know if I'm able to get, I don't think I can get MIDI from my keyboard as it is. Let me set up a different keyboard over here on this side. So I don't know if y'all remember, I've also got this Arturia keyboard here. I'm just gonna put this over here and grab a USB cable. La 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 la. All right, USB cable, check. And we'll plug this in, because I know that I have connected this up to my keyboards in the past. I've never connected up to a push. I don't think that's a thing that it does. The push is very live specific. So if I want this to work with regular keyboards, then I probably have to do something like this. Okay, and I'm going to Arturia! Yeah! I'm going to go over here to my Ableton Live, and I'm going to restrict it from playing from my keyboard. I don't want the keyboard to play this right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have it go just so it's just on the push. So the push will play it, but this keyboard over here will not play it. And also, AJ, this Arturia keyboard is black like your soul. Heavy metal keyboard. Except, although I'm excited to hear your song, AJ. Your song has all the feels in it. How much? Cedric, what is up? All right. So let's see. Am I going to get MIDI in here? I'm not sure. Let's just try this and see what happens though. So what I'm going to do for this MIDI here is I'm going to, I feel like I should be getting a signal here if I am going to get MIDI in here. But we'll see what happens. So if I go over here and I say, all right, let's get the output from our mix here. We're going to take that and plug it back in over here. There we go. Boom. So we can hear that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it down here. Like this one. I'm going to turn it down here. There we go. Turn our index up here. Are they tissues with lotion? So, because we're going to be probably using them a lot with your song. That's hilarious. And what I'm going to do over here is my MIDI out. I'm going to go from my CV out, and we're going to connect the CV out over here to our, let's connect it to our ADSR envelope over, not the ADSR envelope. Let's do the CV out here to our CV in up here, pitch wheel FM 1 volt here. Nice. I like the aloe tissues. And then we're going to go from our gate out here, and we're going to connect that to our ADSR envelope down here, number 1. And then our output of the ADSR envelope, we're going to connect up here to our CV. And let's hit some notes. And yeah, it's not doing anything. It should totally be doing something. Yeah. All that's happening is you can hear it's because I had that. There we go. Because I had that connected. Yeah, because I had that connected, it was changing the pitch on me there. So I'm not sure. Wait, what does that do? If I flip that, wait. If we flip the switch, nothing. Okay. Yeah, I'm I've made it work with Chrome. I'm using Firefox right now, and I don't know if I've ever had this working with Firefox. It's not something I really mess around with too much anymore, but basically, you're just going to get a steady tone out. If you want to adjust that tone, you can just adjust this knob right here. But we can hear, if I adjust my frequency here, that you can hear the filter. It's going through the filter there. And what we are going to do here is you can adjust the resonance down here. You can hear that sound kind of change a little bit. Our overall level is right here, although that resonance didn't really do too much, did it? And then what I want to do is I want to attach my LFO to this VCF here. And so I'm just going to go from my, here, let's take this off here. We don't need this stuff. We're going to go from my, let's use the square wave. We're going to connect the square wave to our CV1 right here. Let's use CV2. So we'll go over here to our square wave, and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag this up to our CV2 input. And turn down, there we go. There you go, you hear how that is affecting that now. Now, the reason why it's affecting it so much is because I'm adjusting my amount right here, and I'm adjusting my frequency right here. And you have to balance between those whenever you're adjusting sounds. And how much you balance between those depends on what you're using. If you're using, like, what oscillators you're using, what filters you're using, stuff like that, what LFO you're using. Everything changes totally depending on whatever piece of gear you are using. It's up to that piece of gear. And that's why some pieces of gear people love and some pieces of gear people don't love. And that's exactly what's going on here, is that some pieces of gear are really great for this stuff and others are like whatever. So in here, just to kind of show this over here, this has a basic setup right here in the picture that I took a screenshot of before. So there's a basic setup. If you just want to get sound like you've heard what you saw me doing, you're going to get sound just like this. And there is your assignment. Is it this one? Not this one, that's the other one. Here, I basically just want you to get a basic modular synth sound, and you can use the modular synths PDF, which is what we're looking at today, as guidance. And basically this one here shows you, no, not you. What happened? Clicking on things inside the PDF. Stop that. Stop that. Okay. This one here, there we go, shows you how to make basic connections to things. Now, this one, on a different computer, I was able to get MIDI audio happening here. For some reason, the MIDI was not working for me today. That's okay. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Basically, if you want to get like a basic setup going, you can patch it up like this and you should get sound happening, and that's your homework. Just take a screenshot of that and you're good to go. It's all just right here. You can just essentially just look at this, have this open, and have the website open, and just like make these connections, and you should be getting audio. If you're not getting audio, you can talk to me. But if you want to go a little bit further, then you can use something like this setup here, or you can connect up the LFO. This one doesn't have the LFO connected up, but you could connect up the LFO. And all you would do to connect up that LFO is right here, what I've got. Just connect up to one of your outputs here. And the LFO has the square wave, the triangles, triangle, square, or just two triangles and squares. So if we want to hear the differences in those, go over here to, does that say LFO1? I can't see it because this like text is in the background there. PGR, okay. It must be the company that makes it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go here from my triangle, and go up here to CV2, and let's connect this back up again, the output. And you hear how that sounds different. If I disconnect that and I connect my square, see how that sounds different there? I'm gonna slow it down. You can see how that sounds really different from this one. This one's smoother, the other one's just like on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. And we can adjust how much it's affecting it. You hear how it's like popping and clicking? That's because it's not a very good programming there. The popping and clicking is just, it's not like something you should be experiencing if you're using the real hardware. So that's just basic. This is just the most basic part of everything, just to kind of get you going with this stuff. So let's go back and take a look at our modular synth here in Ableton Live. Okay, cool. So I've got this here. I've got my filter. There we go, my cutoff filter, so we can hear that. Okay, so what we're going to do down here is let's go over here and get another oscillator going on here. So when we want to introduce another oscillator into everything, what we have to do is we have to pull up a mixer to mix these things together. Because remember, what a mixer does is it literally just takes different sound sources and just puts them together. So let's go ahead and grab the square wave here and pull it into our input here, like there, boom. And now, can we hear these together? There we go. Yeah. So we get this link button here to link them together. And now what's happening is this oscillator here and this oscillator here are now coming out of this one output right here. So what I can do is I can octave this up. And if I wanted to be different intervals besides just an octave, that's when I would use this oscillator, the semitones right here. And if I want the level to be different, I just click on this one down here and I adjust it. And I could bring in other oscillators here. Just go ahead and pull these in. Let's grab a sawtooth wave and pull that to an input here. Click on the link button. And here, as I adjust the volume level here, and now you can hear I've got some chords going on, which is, and I can adjust this however I want, really. And let's go ahead and pull this up. This one, sorry, I didn't click on it. There we go, click on that. And I'm going to turn the level down on this one here. Cool, get a nice little dissonance going on up there. So you can see you can just kind of build these up and build them up and kind of keep building these things up here. If we wanted the LFO to be affecting things more, we can see we can use this mixer for all sorts of stuff here. And we can bring the LFO in over here. And again, remember, the LFO is just connected by our, I've got one over here on this side. But hold on, let's see here. Move this over here so we can get from both of these things. There we go. So, see how if I push forward on my, well, you can't really see it, but if I push forward on my mod wheel, and if I show it to you down here, if we look down here in my mod wheel here, right, so you can see as I push it forward, it's introducing a little bit of a wavering to the sound, and that's coming from our LFO over here. It's going in over here, and how much it's affecting it is right here. Now, you're like, wait, but hold on, isn't this stuff for volume levels and things like that, loudness? Well, the answer is kind of, sort of, but with an analog synthesizer, really, anything can connect to anything else, and that's something that you kind of have to be aware of, and that's what makes these things a bit confusing and hard to work with, is that you can connect a cable into something and it may or may not do what you want it to do, or it might not do anything, or it might do something crazy. My advice is, when you're unsure, always make sure that you have the volume overall level turned down or muted or something like that if you're trying to do some really experimental, wacky stuff. So now we've got the sound. Got the sound. It sounds pretty cool. Not a whole lot of specialness going on with it though. Let's go ahead and go up here. And one thing that's really cool with these modular synthesizers is you can add more modules into them. So the way that this works in here is you can click on these up here and you can add a few different modules into them. With this modular V, it's pretty much set. You've got all the stuff kind of there. Other modular synthesizers let you add things in, and we're going to see this with the reactor blocks. You can add in or subtract out as much as you want up to a point. Depending on which version of reactor you have access to more blocks or less blocks. But one of the cool things with reactor blocks is other people are making them on their own and offering them up either for sale or for free on the Native Instruments website. So that's a pretty cool thing that you can adjust there. You can get more stuff. But let's go ahead and just look and see what we've got here. We've got another filter, and we can click on that by clicking on it here. You know, you can click on these filters here to change them. And we've got a bode shifter, which I'm not even sure what that does. Frequency shifter, formant, and then just nothing there at all. Okay, and here's our module 3. And over here we can click on this here. So we've got these here would be, can we make this one be an LFO? No, we only have one LFO available. That's weird. Let's go up here. Let's go across here. And then over here we can add in more envelopes. We can add in some ring modulators. We can add in a sample and hold, some stuff like that. Sample and hold. What is a sample and hold? That's an interesting one that we can use for various special effects and some, like, what I would call like kind of sci-fi things. Let's go ahead and let's add in some noise though before we kind of get talking about that. I'm going to go over here, and instead of using this oscillator here, I'm going to use my noise. Can we do that? Come on, you. Can we noise? Yeah, we can. Let's see here, what do we got here? This is 7. This is our octave. This is the... Is this going to give us some noise? Should I just see here? Click. Yeah, there we go. Some nice noise for us. Cool. All right. So we have this here. I'm going to put that back to 0 because we're not using that one anymore. So now I've got this noise filter, this noise generator coming from over here. Awesome. So we have that there, and that sounds pretty good. If we wanted some of these to go through like a filter over here or something, we can kind of connect these together in slightly different ways. So for example, if I don't need this LFO right here, to, if I don't really ever want that wobble thing with my modular modulation wheel, I'm just going to remove the connection here, right click on it, and then I'm going to go over here and just kind of remove this connection as well, and this connection as well. I don't really need this stuff in here. If I'm not using it, I don't need it. I'm going to go ahead and double click on this to get rid of it here. So now when I adjust my modulation wheel, see, I'm adjusting the modulation wheel right down here in the corner. Nothing is happening, whereas before it was giving a little whoa, 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 whoa type of sound. Okay, so we've taken that out, and what I want to do is let's get two filters going. Let's like kind of rearrange this thing a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and let's start over here. Let's get the let's get one oscillator, one filter. Actually, let's see, what is this saw wave? What does this saw do? Yeah, it's like a basic setup here. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of these cables here. Don't really want these going on right now. So it's a basic filter setup. Basically what we just had. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to use two oscillators. Again, we're going to do two oscillators, but what we're going to do is we're going to have each oscillator going into its own filter, and we're going to kind of come at it from the other way and mix them together a slightly different way. So what we can do is we can go in here. Let's turn this link off here, and we're going to go from our oscillator. We've got their first oscillator right here, and the second oscillator, we're going to come down from here, we're going to pull it into here, and we're going to pull up a filter, another filter, filter 2 right here. Let's make this one a high-pass filter. And we're going to come from this filter, just leave that set there. There we go, leave this all set like it is. And our output, we're going to go from the output up here to the input. I said we're going to go from the output to the input. That's what I said. There we go. So what do we have going on here? We've got our oscillator 1 is going into here, and our oscillator 2 is going into here. And honestly, we could probably bypass that. Let's actually flip that around a little bit, because I don't think we need it to be going in that direction. So I'm going to disconnect all of these, and I'm going to go from here to here. I'm just going to connect it up. And the reason why I'm doing all this is because I want to show you that you can arrange these in different orders. There's nothing that's really set in stone with this. And this is the cool thing about modular synthesizers. So we can see here I'm going from my output of this filter here to the input of the envelope over here on the right hand side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and adjust this. I'm going to grab from the input here. I'm going to move it over to this output right here. Oh, sorry, not the output, the input here. That's what I need to do. The input and the output from this high-pass filter to this input here. So I've got these going into two different inputs, and I'm going to link them together. And I'm going to take this output, and the link means that both of these are going to go into the same one right here. So now I'm going to go from my output here and go into the VCA in over here. And now what we should have cool. And we can hear I've got it's a different tone from what we had before, because now I've got two filters affecting my tone. Let's change this filter around. Multi-mode. Put a bandpass in here. Let's go ahead and here we go. I pass this here. There we go. That's kind of a cool sound. And you hear how different this sounds. From what we were doing just a minute ago. Even though it's using the same two oscillators, now because they're going through different filters and we've mixed them in here, and I can mix them a little bit differently down here. So I can mix them up. we're getting a very different tone here. And the reason why I'm kind of showing you this is because I want you to understand that even though you're like, well, wait, hold on a second, it's basically the same stuff, I'm just kind of flipping the order around a little bit. The order matters. How you mix things up really does matter. So it's very important to kind of to adjust these here. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Now, this is something that's definitely not part of the original modular synth. This little K1 right here, and you got K2, K4, all this stuff here. This K1 is from keyboard 1, and basically it's going to be the keyboard follow, how much it's following it, and that's probably right here, key follow 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right here, how much it's following it. If I play a higher note on my keyboard, it's going to be higher. If I play a lower note on my keyboard, it's going to be lower. So these are my keyboard controllers here. You've got your bend range over here. This is something that we should definitely talk about. This is a general synthesizer thing. You've always got a keyboard range here. Right? If I use my keyboard bend here, right, that's going to bend it. But how much is it going to bend it? Well, right now it's bending it by 1 semitone. But if I wanted to go by 12 semitones, semitones, which would be an octave. You can hear how that bends that like that, and it's very smooth. It's, you know, it sounds good. So usually that's set to 2. But you can set it to whatever you want to make it musical. Down here we have our polyphony amount, which again, this is stuff that's not on the original at all. You couldn't really make it polyphonic. Now, I do want to show you something here, and I forgot to mention it just a second ago. I was thinking about mentioning it, and I didn't mention it. Let's go ahead and I'm going to set this back up to a 1 oscillator, 1 filter. And I'm going to grab a second oscillator over here. I'm going to make both of these be square waves because I just like the sound of a square wave more than the sawtooth wave. So 2 square waves here. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. There we go. They're both about the same level and loudness. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a chord out of this. And the way I make a chord out of it is I just adjust my oscillator right here. I'm going to click on that. Here. Right, there's a 5th. Actually, let's put that back at a major 3rd. All right, and let's get a 5th over here from this one. Put that on right there. Turn the volume up there. And click on this and set that to 7. There we go. Turn the level up right here. And you can hear that I've got these chords going on here. Every time I hit a key on my keyboard, it plays a chord. Now, some people might be asking or thinking, is that polyphony? No, that's not polyphony. Polyphony has to do with how many keys you're playing on the keyboard. This is a 3-note chord. It's got 3 oscillators. Each oscillator is playing its own note in the chord. This is just us offsetting the pitches for each oscillator. It's not the same as polyphony. Polyphony would be as if I'm playing an actual chord. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn these down here. And if I go down here to the bottom, we can see it says poly. So I'm going to go ahead and click that and turn that up. Is that how we do that? Let's see. Oh, okay, there we go. Switch that note there, switch that over. And that's polyphony right there. And I'm able to actually play different notes on my chord. Keyboard. I'm going to switch over to this keyboard here because it's a little bit easier. Because I can play notes on my keyboard easier on that with the real keyboard. So that's a big difference there, and that's something that people often get confused about. Just because I'm playing something that's got a chord in it, it's the same chord. Let me go ahead and put these up here. that is not polyphony by itself. But if I were to play, right, that is polyphony. Now that doesn't sound great. It sounds really weird because I have 3 notes stacked on top of 3 more notes, and they're playing off-key tones because of where their starting point is. Because when you set up if you set up like pitches with oscillators like this, it's not locking it into your scale. That's going to be a bit hard to understand unless you understand music theory. But if I have a C major scale and I play a C major chord, that works, C, E, and G. But then if I started on my E and played an E major chord, E, what would that be? E, G sharp, and B. That's not, G sharp is not in the key of C, so that starts to sound really weird. You've got these chord tones that are kind of against each other. So it gets weird really fast unless you have something to kind of lock it in there, which is something we could talk about if you want to, because Ableton Live does have ways to lock that stuff in for you. All right, so that is the basics of our modular synthesizer. Now let's talk about things like a sequencer in here. But you know what? Let's take a break and talk about the sequencer. After the break, I'll give you all like, let's take a 5-minute break and come back at 10:55. Cool. We'll be right back.